Okay, I think I'm live. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this live streaming thing out. By the way, this is a live stream that has been unscheduled. I apologize for that. So if you have an opportunity to click in and watch, that's cool. This is absolutely a live stream about absolutely nothing. I figure if Seinfeld can make a show about nothing, I can make a live stream about nothing. What the heck? So this is a live stream about nothing. Well, actually not nothing, but it's a live stream about not much. Let me see if anybody's watching or if it's just me. It might just be me. Oh, I see some folks saying hello. Thank you very much. I love, thank you for the love your videos. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to do this more often. Let me get back over to where I was. I'm in the sort of control booth here. Pardon me. I have to get a cup of coffee here. Okay, this is not a live stream about absolutely nothing, but it's about nothing that's particularly important. So I thank you very much for joining me briefly. This is a live stream for me to do a couple of things, one of which is test this to see if it actually works. I have tried live streaming before, doing interviews live stream, and we've always had echo and other stuff going on that just didn't work. So I'm not going to do those anymore. When I interview folks for gun news and like that, I'm pre-recording them so I can deal with the audio issues afterwards because, frankly, I can never figure them out. So I guess my first question to you, if somebody wouldn't mind chiming in, is the audio okay? Sounds good here. Thank you very much. Okay, so there's no echo and it doesn't sound funny or whatever. So I think I have figured out how to live stream when it's just me or it's just Nick and I or whatever, and we're just going to live stream to live stream. What I'd like to find out from you, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this as a live stream, is I'd like to do these once per month. I don't know what's best as far as time of day or day of the month or day of the week for that matter. Which works best for you. I will tell you, my wife and I try to take Saturdays and Sundays off because we have practical defense systems and I'm working Monday through Friday with the business, and then she's a speech and language pathologist, so she's working throughout the week. So we try to take the weekends for family, and Sunday we spend at church and with family and that kind of stuff. So Saturdays and Sundays generally don't work for us, but let me know if there's another day of the week or just time of day that works. And that way I can try to schedule these ahead of time so I'm not sneaking up on you with them in case you'd like to attend and chime in. So I'm kind of, I guess I'll have to look at this. Sounds great, Joel. Thank you very much. Do them at night. Okay. Pardon my phone ringing. I'm actually sitting in here and I didn't turn the phone off, so we'll have to get back to them. Let's see. Do it at night. Only reason I'm listening is because I have the flu. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. Wondering what your opinion is on good hunting rifle. A good hunting rifle. Okay, well, that, I'll answer that real quick. That, ambush him, Joel. Thank you very much. Good hunting rifle, that depends on what you're hunting. If you're hunting big game, this is going to sound terribly unpopular. I'm not a huge fan of trendy stuff. You can kill just about anything in North America with a 30-06. So if you can handle the recoil of a 30-06, then you can hunt anything you want with that. The variety of ammunition available that is tremendous. The ability to hand load pretty much whatever you want is outstanding. The 30-06 has kind of fallen out of favor because it's not trendy and cool in favor of all the Magnum calibers. But the truth is Magnums beat you up pretty badly. And so unless you're hunting something that requires a Magnum caliber, most hunters are going to take shots less than 200 yards. Very few will take 200-yard shots, sometimes 250, but most of them are going to be in the 150, 175, 100-yard shot range. And, even at beyond 200 yards, you can be very accurate with the 30-06. Of course, the bullet drop is significant when you get out there, but 30-06 has been killing everything that walks in North America for a long time. There you go. If you want an inexpensive rifle, the Ruger American, the Savage Axis 2. I actually have a Savage Axis 2 that I like a lot. They have a great trigger on them, the new ones. But there's a number of rifles that are really, really good for inexpensive hunting rifles. And I think the Savage Axis 2 now comes with a scope. That's not the top-of-the-line scope, but comes with a pretty good one. All right, anyway, back to what I was talking about. As far as time frame is concerned, if you guys will put those just in the chat comments, I'll try to tally them, and we'll see if we can do these at a time that's best. If that's nighttime, daytime, I know folks are working. I don't want to be doing this when you're working. I want to do it when you actually can do it, but I don't want to interrupt your dinner time either. So you let me know, and we'll try to get the best time that works for everyone, and I'll try to do it once a month. Just to give you, if nothing else, an update on what's going on with GunGuyTV, or if we have an update on what's going on with gun news, I'm happy to do that. In this case, I want to wish you Merry Christmas, the Persinger family, as I can show you has gotten our living room all squared away for Christmas. So you can see we're looking pretty good. We got the tree up, and we got the stockings up, and got the piano decorated and like that. My wife is fantastic at that. We've had a number of things going on in our house. This time of year is always a little crazy for us. Many years ago, I may have told you this story. If I have, please forgive me. But like I said, it's a podcast about nothing, or it's a it's a live stream about nothing. Many years ago in our church, we had a gentleman who was a cowboy rodeo rider. That's what I want to think about. He's a bull rider in the rodeos. A little wiry guy, man. His name was Jim Baxley. I knew I could say it. And Jim was about 46 or something like that. And one day I found out that he didn't have a place to go for Christmas. He was a cowboy, so he was single syllable guy. You okay, Jim? Yep. You having a nice day? Nope. It was that guy. Anyway, long story short, I invited him to Christmas. He came. We found out at that day that he'd never received a gift in his entire life. Nobody had ever given him a lit gift or celebrated his birthday or Christmas with him or anything. And he was very, very thrilled to be here, so that was neat. And then the following year, he had a stroke and he passed away. So we started inviting anybody at church that didn't have a place to go to come to our house for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Little did we know that the need was tremendous. And the first time we did it for Christmas, we had 60-some-odd people show up. Well, we don't have a big house, okay? So it was crazy. But we've done it now for 20 years, I think. And every year at Thanksgiving and Christmas, we have around 25 or 30 people come. We play some crazy games, and we have a big dinner. And there's always more food than there are people because people bring stuff. We don't organize it. It just sort of works out that way. Thanksgiving, we had 25. I think we'll probably have right around that for Christmas. So it's always kind of a busy time around our household, because we try to make sure people aren't home alone for the holidays. That really is a terrible thing, to be home alone. I do have some news for you about GunGuyTV that I'll give you here in just a second. Let me check the chats again in case there's somebody I need to respond to. Forgive me for not being good at this. I'm going to get better at this. I'm an old guy, and the whole live stream thing is, when you're in your 60s and you're legitimately, I'm a legit old person. That's what they keep telling me. I'm a senior citizen. That kind of sucks. Now I think about it, but apparently I am. I could talk about Virginia. That's true. Virginia is what's happening there with the Second Amendment sanctuary counties. I wish that would happen in California. We just don't have the oomph for it with the sheriffs here, I don't think. But boy, I'd like to see that happen across the country, honestly. 300 Win Mag, somebody talked about the hunting rifle before. My thoughts about Virginia, my thoughts about Second Amendment sanctuary counties is assuming what you're asking me about. I think, well, okay, so this is I'm going to give my personal opinion on some things for you, and then you take it for what you will. I have always been of the opinion that if it's possible to change the laws without disobeying them, we should do that. But if you have the support of your county sheriff or your county supervisors or whatever the authorities are in your county or city, and they want to declare your city or your county or your state, for that matter, a Second Amendment sanctuary, go for it. It's amazing. The anti-gunners on the left only feel that we should follow the laws that they like and not the ones they don't like. I mean, here in California, we've got sanctuary counties. We're a sanctuary state where immigration laws are concerned. So, we kind of have to fight fire with fire to a degree. If these folks, these politicians and so on, don't want to obey the laws, it's a little difficult for them to expect everybody else to. So if you have support in your county and you can declare a sanctuary county, I think you should absolutely do that. If your city council will declare your city a sanctuary city, I think they should actually do that. Likewise, I'm in California where I cannot legally take an 80% lower, it's what everybody calls them, and make an 80% lower rifle. I can do it, but I have to register it with the state of California and get a serial number and all that, which sort of defeats the purpose, because the whole idea behind making the stupid thing, other than the fact that it's hobby and it's fun, is to have a firearm the government doesn't know about. Okay, I cannot legally do that in California, so I won't. However, if I were in a free state, I'd make them. You bet I would. I'd make them and I'd set them aside, because there's going to come a time when the government's going to want to register all your firearms, and then you get to make a choice at that point. Do you want to tell them or not? And maybe we're a little like New Zealand, and we don't volunteer to register them. Then the law becomes totally unenforceable. So am I a fan of stepping out and breaking laws all the time? No, but at the same time, like I said, if your county sheriff isn't going to enforce it, then support your county sheriff, for crying out loud. If your county supervisors aren't going to enforce it, then support your county supervisors. If you can make unserialized, unregistered firearms legally in your state, then do it. If you happen to live in a restrictive state like California, I can't make those guns in California, but I can go to Yuma, Arizona, or Phoenix, or go to a friend's house out there in Nevada or Arizona or whatever, and I can make them. As far as I know, I can't bring them back to California. I got to leave them there, but at least I made them, and I own them. They may not be here, but where it's illegal. But if they're where it's legal, that's fine. And am I going to tell anybody about those? Probably not. So there you go. There's my thoughts on it. All right. As far as and let me check the comments again. As far as let's see, you're jumping in, but are you as excited for Samson manufacturing Mini 14 folding stock? I've not seen that, to be honest with you, so I can't answer that question. I am a fan of the Mini 14, as you know. I've had one for a very, very long time. So, and mine is just rock solid and runs like a Swiss watch. I actually hunt javelina with it. In fact, February I'll be out hunting javelina again in Florence, Arizona. So if you happen to be in that area, I think it's Florence, in that area at the time, during javelina rifle season, because that's the general season, I'm going to try to get out there for the ham hunt too, the handgun archery muzzleloading hunt. And I'll let you know if I'm heading that direction. Merry Christmas to you, too. I'd watch a repeat. Mostly probably would. I'm trying to just skim through these. Forgive me if I missed any. Somebody did a super chat. Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you very much. I don't expect you to do that, but if you want to do that, I certainly will not turn that down. It does help support the channel. God bless you, too. People typed God bless you. He has very much, and I hope he blesses you as well. All right, news you can use. Not so much gun news, but news about GunGuyTV. Excuse me. As you may or may not know, I'll tell you, there's a cold or something going around. I think I'm getting it. It's starting to make its run through our house. It generally goes through, gets everybody, and then comes back again. I can see the camera is flickering. I don't know why that is. So forgive me for that. I'll try to sort that out. You know, every time you do anything live, everything falls apart. So if it's flickering, at least I'm here. So hopefully that won't cause too much trouble. We'll see if we can figure that out later. All right, GunGuyTV. We have GunGuyTV, which has the podcast, which, by the way, is growing really fast, the audio podcast. If you haven't checked that out, I do post a video version on YouTube, which irritates some people because they expect it to be a video and then it's not. But the reason I post it there is for convenience. Some folks have asked me to because they'd rather just start it and walk away and be able to listen to it around the house or whatever and listen to the podcast that way. Other folks get it off the podcast player because they use the Bluetooth on their phone and they listen to it on the way to work or on the way home. But you may check it out. You can check it out on YouTube if you want. The latest one I did was on old types of training. You can also check it out in other places. I know it's on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeart, and 50 million other places. So TuneIn is another one, and so on. But check it out. It's a syndicated podcast, and then the full podcast, the other half an hour, the second half hour, is on Patreon. So if you want to support us on Patreon, you can get that there. And then I do an video podcast twice a month on Patreon as well. All right. In addition to that, my wife and I own Practical Defense Systems, which for many, many years I've actively taught on the range as part of, and been an instructor for a long, long time, and taught mostly security officers, civilians, some law enforcement, and so on. But I've done it for a long time. And I've retired from that. We still have Practical Defense Systems, but I'm not teaching on the range very much at all. The only thing I'm teaching now is the concealed carry course for the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. The reason I'm doing that is twofold. One, the state of California became a serious pain in the rump where it came to qualifying security guards, and they came down to our office and audited us and made a big nuisance out of themselves, to the point where I said, the heck with it, we're not doing that anymore. We'll just offer the online training, and then you guys can go deal with your attitudes where guns are concerned. I don't want to mess with you anymore. We'll let the local yokels who teach those courses go away, or do their thing, and then we're going to go away. We'll just do the statewide stuff online. As a byproduct of that, what's happened is I have more time to produce videos now. So I'm getting super duper organized where that's concerned. I'm going to get out and do additional videos as much as I can. And I can do this kind of stuff where I couldn't do this before, because I would be on the range all day today teaching, and I'd be on the range tomorrow and Wednesday and probably Thursday teaching, but I won't be all week because I'm doing this. So that's a big change. One thing we are going to do is, and then somebody's asking my thoughts on a few things, so I'll look that up as best I can. we are going to make some additional classes on practical defense systems too. So if you happen to be a PDS student, we're going to add some additional classes for you this coming year. I have about, I think 6 or 7 that we're going to produce and put up there. So if I know I have a number of students that watch GunGuyTV and also watch the live streams and so on. So if that's you, I want to let you know that that's coming as well. All right, let me scroll through the comments again. Something about nonsense. I'm not. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm generally talking about nonsense. So if this is nonsense to you, I get it. What do you guys think about Wasser? I like Wasser 10s. I haven't shot one or fired one in a while, but I have a couple of friends who have them, and I like them. It just depends on the one you get. I mean, the ones I've had, some of them are pieced together and work great. Some of them are pieced together, don't work so great. SKSs do rock. That is true. Several petitions circulating to recall Governor Gavin Newsom. Yes, I agree. I call him Gavin Nuisance, but you can call him whatever you want. I agree. If you have not already signed that, please do. It's actually picking up steam from what I understand. I think California has tried to recall every governor we've ever had since I was a kid, and most of them don't work, but it did work in the case of Gray Davis. So I would like to see Gavin Newsom go away. He is a real nuisance, and he's making life miserable for Californians. So if you've not already signed that, even if you're not a gun rights person, if you just don't want to pay high taxes and all this other nonsense, and right now they've passed, they want to, I think they are past it or are going to pass laws that will guarantee free medical care to illegal aliens, but at the same time they want to restore on a state level the penalty in your taxes each year if you don't have medical insurance. What's interesting is it's the mandate, individual mandate. They want to restore that for Californians, but the one group of people that don't have to pay that would be illegal aliens, but they get free medical care. So this is how weird California is going and where it's going. If that irritates you, get out there and sign that petition to get that dude out of office, because we've got, unfortunately, they have a super majority, and they got it in an underhanded way through their what they call their jungle primary. They really wrecked Californians by cheating is what they did, and that's how they came into power. It's really pretty bad. Let's see. Anybody else? I definitely like you. Yes, you are. Well, I don't know. The folks that live in free states, God bless you. Low light home defense course, and yes, I signed the petition. I would love to do a low light home defense course. I may do that. That's actually and those are great courses. They're fun courses to do, by the way, and they're great courses to take. And if you're looking for training, you're in California, if you're up in the LA area, check out TJ Johnston at All Safe Defense. TJ's a terrific guy. He's an outstanding instructor. Teaches some great courses, and he's over in Orange. So I would check out All Safe Defense, TJ Johnston. Please tell him I sent you. He knows me very well, and he still likes me. I don't know why. So you might want to check out TJ. He can help you there. I'm looking through the comments. I don't see any others. If I missed yours, let's see. Have I heard anything about the Becerra case? No, I have not. I don't know anything about the timeline on that. We're all kind of sitting around waiting. Ruger PC carbine, the PC9. There's also the PC40. My wife has a PC9. That is her home defense long gun. The only thing I would say about pistol caliber carbines, if you want my opinion about that. First of all, let's clarify a few things. I am not a veteran. I have never shot anyone in my life, and I've never had to defend my home against anyone. I have arrested a lot of people because I was a bail bondsman, and I had to go get them and bring them to jail, and I've had a lot of guns poked in my face, and I've poked a lot of guns in people's faces, and I've worn armor a lot, and I've gone through doors that didn't necessarily want me to go through them, and all those kind of things. So I've done that stuff. But to this date, I've not been shot, and I've not shot anybody. So I can't speak to how well pistol caliber carbines work in actuality, except that I have asked some combat veterans who are friends what their opinion of pistol calibers as opposed to rifle calibers are, or shotguns for home defense. And without exception, they've all said to me, essentially, if you're going to use a pistol caliber, you're going to need more than one. You're going to need several. You're going to have to hit the bad guys several times in order to get them to stop. That's been their experience in wartime, that one shot very seldom does it. Even with rifles, sometimes you need more than one, but you're more likely to get a one-shot stop out of a rifle or a shotgun than you are a handgun. As long as you're aware of that, the nice thing about a pistol caliber carbine is the recoil is next to nothing, and the ability to keep them on target and deliver multiple rounds on target is very, very, very easy. I mean, mean, it's super duper easy, particularly if you're not an experienced shooter, because you got 4 points of contact. You've got your shoulder, your shooting hand, your support hand, and your cheek. And as long as you've got that worked out, you're golden. I'd put a real nice little simple red dot optic on it, and maybe a weapons light on the front so you can identify who you're looking at and make sure it's not somebody you don't want to shoot before you shoot. It's always important to identify your target. But that will allow you to be on target very, very easily. So there you go. There's my pistol caliber carbine thing. My wife does have one, which is the Ruger PC Carbine 9. And then a very good friend of mine who's a police officer has one in .40, and he loves it. So there you are. Revolver versus 1911. Personal preference. Personal preference. I like them both. I have a Smith & Wesson Model 66 that, you can't really beat a .357 Magnum as a home defense or as a personal defense gun because the recoil is manageable and it's a supreme stopper. On the other hand, 1911 in your favorite caliber is a great gun. You're welcome for the TJ greed on the PCCs. How about 45 caliber? Yes, absolutely. If you can get yourself a 45 caliber carbine, I carried a 45, a Colt Combat 1911 for about 30 years, and so I'm a big fan of 45 ACP. Absolutely. Some definite drawbacks. Yes, I agree. If you've got an AR and you're in a state where you can actually, AR home defense guns in California are just awfully difficult to put together. You can do it, but they're really kind of clunky. It works so much better in other states. Nikon is getting out of the scope business. That is true. And I did speak to Nikon about that. So if you want some news about Nikon, because I do have a guy from Nikon who sends me Nikon stuff. The issue there is not an anti-Second Amendment thing. They're big-time Second Amendment people. Nikon are, and they support the Second Amendment 100%. So it has nothing to do with rifles or anything like that. What it has to do with is that the optics business for rifles is extremely competitive, and they simply weren't making any money doing it. In fact, if anything, they were lucky to break even. They were losing money. It just wasn't an industry vertical that they were being successful in, even though they made some great products. So they're still making rangefinders. They're still making binocular. They're still making all kinds of optics for the shooting sports. They're just not making rifle optics or pistol optics, as far as I know, because they just weren't making any money. So they decided to get out of it. So that was a business decision based upon they have stockholders they have to answer to, and they have to make a profit. They're not, like any business. My business, for that matter, is not it's not a charitable organization. We have to make a profit, and they did too. So that's why they got out of that business. Let's see. Would you recommend yes, SIG makes outstanding firearms. That's the given. So there you go. I am not a SIG owner at this point, but I have used a lot of them. I have a lot of students and friends that have them. They love them. They are great guns. So there you are. I had a question about the Micro-Roni stabilizer. Is it still legal in California? That I don't know. I think so, but I will tell you, if you want to check with the Glock store in San Diego, they keep right on top of that because they were selling them for the longest time. So you might check with the Glock store in San Diego. But the Micro-Roni is really cool. I like it. They were legal for a long time. So they probably still are, but I don't know. Conan, okay, let's see. The Conan model, I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. Roni kicks. I bet it does. All right. If I can have only one gun, revolver is my choice. Well, okay, good for you. My dad was a police officer. He was a deputy sheriff, and he carried a Colt Python 357 Magnum for his entire career, and was a big-time revolver guy. So I get it. Let's see. I'm looking to see if there's anything else in here. Forgive me if I missed yours. Forgive me. It's not that I was intending to. I try to catch them all, and sometimes I don't. So forgive me. If I missed yours, you're always welcome, if you have questions like that, to send me an email. You can send it to my email at joel@kbtninc.com. If you think KBTN, think Kick Butt Take Names Inc. That's actually what it stands for, believe it or not. joel@kbtninc.com. And if you want, I'll tell you the story. When we started the business, we started it with three partners, or three partner families, my wife and I, a business partner who was a retired police chief and his wife, and a martial arts, very outstanding martial arts instructor, actually, and his wife. And when we started it, we knew we were going to run under Practical Defense Systems, but we needed a corporate entity name that was different in case we wanted to do something else with it. And I jokingly said, as we were sitting at the coffee shop, why don't we call it KBTN? It'll stand for Kick Butt Take Names. I was kidding. Well, they thought it was hilarious. So that's what we did. So it's KBTN Inc., and it does stand for Kick Butt Take Names. Is it still legal to have a standard capacity AR mags in California that were legally purchased during? Yes. If you purchased them during Freedom Week or you owned them prior to the ban back in the 80s or 90s or whatever, then yes, you can use them, you can own them, and they're perfectly legal in the state of California. In fact, here's the deal with the mag law. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and I apologize, I'm going really long with this live stream. I hope you don't mind. I don't want to waste your time. I know your time is valuable, but I had a really good friend of mine the other day, speaking with him as a law enforcement individual who would know the answer to this question. And he was telling me that the magazine law is really unenforceable unless you're a prohibited person. That pretty much, unless you're prohibited or you're being arrested for something else, that chances are you're not going to be bothered about the mag law if you go to a range. The key there is not to make yourself a serious object of attention. So I wouldn't go to the range with big magazines and rack off and fire off rounds as fast as you can and just joking around, make a fool of yourself and irritate the people in the lane next to you if you're in an indoor range or something. If you do, sometimes they complain, and the next thing you know, DOJ is knocking on your door going, "Hey, I understand you have." So that has happened. I would stay away from that. The other thing, the other thing I want to let you know is I have been hearing through the grapevine that the Del Mar Gun Show in fact, I've heard it from 3 different people through the grapevine, that the Del Mar Gun Show, which I believe is coming up next, is it next week? Because what's today, the 9th? Yes, coming up next week, is going to be bombed by law enforcement. So you're going to have a ton of undercover law enforcement at that show. That's what I'm hearing through the grapevine. I've heard it from now, I have to think about 1, 2, 3. I've heard it from 4 different individuals, as a matter of fact, that's probably going to happen, that at this gun show, it's going to be really full of undercover law enforcement. So if you're going to the show, which I encourage you to do, it's a great show, just be aware that you want to be super legal when you're there. If you're a vendor at the show, you want to be super legal when you're there, because they're trying to shut that show down is what they're trying to do. So if they can find any violation at all, they're going to prosecute the tar out of it. So be aware of the fact that and it's probably the case with every gun show in California. If you're at a gun show in California, you got to walk the straight and narrow, because if you don't, you're going to get caught, because they have all kinds of undercover folks in there. I was just talking to a gentleman the other day who is an exhibitor there, who was telling me that there was a case at least last year or a couple of years ago, I guess. It's been 2 or 3 years ago, where a fella bought something that was questionable in the eyes of law enforcement, but turned out not to be questionable. It was legal. And while he was standing at the urinal doing his business, so the guy next to him at the urinal says, "Hey, what you got in the bag?" And they're having this urinal-to-urinal conversation. I got to tell you, if I'm standing at the urinal and somebody wants to talk to me, that's a little weird. So I'm not going to have a conversation with you while I'm doing my business. But apparently this guy did. The next thing you know, they go over to the vendor, hooked the vendor up, and dragged him out of the gun show. And so you don't know who you're talking to. Don't share information that you don't need to share, and be very careful that you obey the law when you're at the gun show. So there you are. I forgot to tell you that. What all states have you been to a gun show? I have been to gun shows in Nevada, California, Arizona. It seems to me I went to one in Texas, and I believe I've been to one in Utah. So there you are. And I did not have trouble at any gun show except for the one in California. Now, if you want to ask me if I've ever purchased anything at a gun show, the answer is no. But I do like to go to them. And of course, I'm at SHOT Show every year, which is in Nevada, which is not really your normal gun show. It's an industry show. Why are liberals synonymous now with satanic? I don't know, but it seems to be the case, doesn't it? Let's see. Totally agree on the urinal conversation. Yeah, I figured you might. Let's see, how can those officers do their job with a clear conscience? Well, okay, so here's the deal about that. I speak to a lot of them because I have a lot of friends in law enforcement, and many of them are pushing back and saying, no, I will not enforce that. Many of them are pushing back individually and saying, I won't enforce those things. I'm going to go after real criminals. I'm not going to make criminals out of law-abiding people. The problem that you have now with law enforcement is they're all wearing a camera. And so they really don't have what used to be called officer discretion anymore, because it's all on camera. And even if they're not wearing the camera, everyone else, there's cameras everywhere. Everybody's got, wait a minute, cell phone, camera, right? Everybody's got a camera of some sort, and everything's on video anymore. So these officers are very aware of the fact that they're on video all the time, and they have to be careful about what they do. So the idea that an officer can let you go if he or she feels that this is a violation of your rights just doesn't happen as much anymore, because the officers, they have no officer discretion. Now you can say, and people do, well, they ought to quit their job and do something else. Okay, to a degree, I agree with you, but at the same time, I live in the real world where most people aren't going to do that because they have a wife and kids, or husband and kids, or they got family and kids, or whatever. They got bills to pay, house payment to make, and they don't want to be out on the street. So, this is the problem. It's do your job or go work at the 7-Eleven or whatever. Well, working at the 7-Eleven doesn't get the bills paid. And some of these folks are right on the ragged edge of retirement. So they're trying to, get that last 6 months in, or that last couple of years in before they retire. So they're trying to walk a fine line, and it's tough to do, and not abuse citizens, but at the same time keep their job. So it's tough right now. It's a very tough thing. I've seen 6-hour live streams. Well, golly, I won't do that. I promise. I've been 31 minutes, and that's longer than I thought I was going to go. 2.5 hour. Let's see. Advised the standard capacity magazines are legal for use in single shot, not semi. I don't know the answer to that. I know you cannot put standard capacity magazines in a registered assault weapon. By the way, there's no such thing as an assault weapon. It's a made-up term, but that's what California calls them. So if you have a rifle or AR pistol, all the AR pistols in California are considered assault weapons. If you have a rifle that's registered in California as an assault weapon, you registered one, then my understanding is you cannot use anything but a 10-round magazine in that gun. If you do, then you're in trouble. That's my understanding. But again, I'm not an attorney, so I wouldn't take that to the bank. But that is my let's see. Glock Store says it's not legal anymore to use a Roni. Okay, there you go. Is it still legal to use standard capacity AR mags in California that were legally purchased? Yes, I did that already. Okay, I think I've hit them all. Keep it going. Great chat video. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Merced and Stanislaus County aren't. Well, okay, that's true. Oh, by the way, okay, so somebody asked me the other day about concealed carry in California. They're scared of. Oh, this is probably an answer about the law enforcement. They're scared of criminals and go after good. That's not on a general basis. That's not actually true. But I certainly understand the sentiment. I really do. San Bernardino County Sheriff is very pro 2A. There are a number. There are 58 sheriffs in the state of California, and I do. Let me answer the question about the Glock. What's Glock's big news tomorrow? I don't know. You probably know more than I do. I apologize. I don't have any contacts at Glock. I wish I did, but I don't. All right, what are you saying? So, sheriffs. There are 58 counties in the state of California. The vast majority of the sheriffs are at least fairly, if not very, pro-Second Amendment. The problem is the big city areas, Los Angeles, San Diego to a degree. Sheriff Gore is not a big proponent of the Second Amendment, but he does issue quite a number of concealed carry permits here. L.A., forget it. San Francisco, forget it. And there's some others right around the Bay Area, forget it. Orange County, on the other hand, Sheriff Hutchins was shall issue for a long time, and the sheriff that has succeeded her, who used to run that program, is shall issue. So a lot of the counties are very pro-Second Amendment, but not to the degree that they're going to have sanctuary counties in California anytime soon that I'm aware of. But they are very pro-Second Amendment. Some of the counties kind of don't, they sort of look, some of them look the other way, but they just don't announce that they do it. How do you prove that you own the mags? You don't have to. In the United States, the onus is on law enforcement to prove that they're illegal. All you have to do is shut up. Where'd you get those? Officer, with all due respect, I don't wish to answer any questions. I'd prefer to speak to my attorney if you're going to arrest me. And leave it at that. Shut up, and then there's nothing they can do to you, really. Greetings from Florida. I really enjoy your content. Thank you very much. I love Florida. My sister lives in Florida, actually, in Melbourne, Florida, and has for a million years and loves that state, and I do too. Although it's so humid by comparison to California, I'm always sweating whenever I'm out there. How do you prove about the mag? Sacramento also get it now. So before, okay. Middle class and poor make it impossible. That's the problem with, if you're saying it makes it impossible to get a permit, that's the problem with the permit idea. is it leaves folks out who don't have the money from getting a permit. It makes it impossible for them to get one. It disenfranchises a whole segment of the society. And where do folks that have lower income live generally? In worse neighborhoods. If anybody needs a permit, they do. If anybody needs to carry a gun, they do. If anybody needs to have a gun at home, they do. You know, I live in a nice neighborhood. There's hardly any crime here, ever. And everybody knows everybody. There's very little crime here. And the police department protects this neighborhood with a vengeance. If we call them, they're here in 2 minutes or less. Not too far from me is a not very good neighborhood, and they don't have that luxury. The cops are there all the time, but they're so busy that it takes them forever to respond. Those folks in that neighborhood need a gun more than I do, but they can't afford it. And then they need a permit probably more than I do, but they can't afford it. So that's why the Second Amendment should be your permit. If you're a law-abiding American, why do you need the government's permission or have to pay the government a fee to be able to carry a firearm to defend your life? That will never make any sense to me. I've always thought it was idiotic. Every law-abiding American should be able to put a gun in their pocket or whatever they want to do and walk wherever they want to walk. The entire country should be constitutional carry, period. I'm sorry, I ranted. My apologies. It was probably a good rant, though. So let's see. I want a chance. I wouldn't chance it. What is this? Okay. You bring a very valuable message to us. And while I'm trying, I really am. One more for CCW can carry. CCW carry. Can you carry more than 10 rounds in California? Yes, if the magazine is legal, sure. As long as the magazine is legal, it's legal. Yeah, you can do it. That's fine. Unless your sheriff has some restriction on your permit. Yeah. I have a lot of security guards that we train. We've got 17,000 students throughout the state. That's quite a number, isn't it? I have a number of them that we train that immediately on Freedom Week went out and bought standard capacity magazines for their carry firearms, and they carry them, and they should. So should you. I don't, because the gun I carry most of the time is either a .38 Special Snubby or my Smith & Wesson M&P 9, and the M&P 9 does not have a magazine that carries more than 10 rounds. Otherwise, I would. I do carry sometimes my my Springfield Armory XD subcompact, and it has larger mags I can carry for it, and then I generally do carry the standard ones that I got during Freedom Week, yeah. No mags over 10 rounds. Okay, well, there you go. San Bernardino County apparently says no mags over 10 rounds. And if that's the case, guards are different from citizens. No, they are not. Security guards are citizens, and they function under the same laws as citizens. The only difference is they're licensed under the California Bureau of Security and Investigative Services, but their arrest powers are under a different statute. They're not under 837 PC. They're under or 832 rather. They're under 837 PC. It's a totally different structure, and every arrest they make is a citizen's or private person's arrest, so they're no different than you are. Let's see. I already did. Okay, that's best decision ever. Yeah, people are moving out. I get it. We won't. People keep asking me that. Are we going to move? And the answer is no. Yes, it is a poll tax. I agree with you. Absolutely. That's exactly what it is as far as permits are concerned. People keep asking me if I'm going to move out of California, and the answer is probably not. My wife has some medical things that she really needs to have a good environment where it's not raining all the time or the weathers don't change a lot. And forgive me, my phone's ringing in the background there, but she really needs to be in a place where we don't have a lot of seasonal change. If we moved to a place where there was seasonal change, my wife would be miserable 3/4 of the year, and I didn't marry her to make her miserable. So we probably won't move for that reason. And then there are other reasons, business and our church and so on. Moving, although people will say this all the time, just move. It's easy, just move. It's not easy. There's a lot of life involved in moving. And the older you get, or the more established you are in a particular place, packing up and moving is not a simple thing to do. People do it. I understand. Some people don't. I understand. And I think picking on each other about that is not very smart. We've got to stop attacking one another. If we're gun owners, we should stick together and let's go after the people who are anti-gun and anti-American, not each other. Solid rant. I don't know which one, but but there you go. Thank you very much. I ranted a couple times here. What are your thoughts on the DOD no longer allowing Bible verses on dog tags? I think it's unfortunate. I don't know anything about the military legal system, so I don't know I think it's stupid, to be honest with you. I think anytime you take God out of any, I'm a Christian, so you're going to ask me how I feel about people taking God out of the picture. My answer is going to be it's dumb, and it's foolish. We're taking God out of everything. We're destroying the family. The nuclear family is dissolving. My wife and I have been married happily for decades. I love her more today than I did the day I married her. And as a result, my kids are stable. They're honest, law-abiding, stable, faithful people. But you destroy the family, and guess what? You destroy the kids. And the whole society begins to fall apart. Part of destroying the family is taking God out of everything, and taking God out of the household and away from the dinner table, and out of churches and out of schools, and for crying out loud. So there you are. You got me there. Sorry. If you mess with anything beyond 10 rounds, call your... okay, well, you might be. That's true. I'm just saying I will happily carry a 10-round magazine that I bought during Freedom Week. You may choose not to do so out of fear of getting prosecuted. Okay, that's fine. I get it. I'm not... However, I do not take the magazines that I bought during Freedom Week, I don't take them to the range in California, because I know some nut next to me is going to go bananas about it maybe, and I don't want to have to put up with the problem. They're legal, but I don't want to. I don't make a public spectacle out of it. You may not want to do that either. Have you any thoughts on gun sanctuary county zones, several counties in Florida? Yes, I've already talked about that. I'm in solid support of that. What are your thoughts on the DOD no longer? I already answered that one. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm so sorry. I'm in Los Angeles, and we're leaving as soon as we sell our 3-bedroom. Well, I don't blame you. Los Angeles is tough. I don't blame you. Tom Gresham said what? I don't know. Was he only Pro 2A attended the SCOTUS New York case, but there were hundreds of anti-gunners there? Well, okay, let me address that, if you don't mind. And then I'm really long here, so I'm going to wrap up pretty soon because I want to answer your questions, but I don't want to bore you to death. Here's my... look, I should just clarify and say these are my thoughts and opinions. I don't have any evidence of this, even anecdotal, but this is just my opinion. I know for a fact that the left pays protesters. I think if you don't live in a cave, you know that as well. So some of these folks that show up to these things are paid to do that. They get paid by rogue billionaires. Shall we talk about Michael Bloomberg, George Soros, and so on, who start these organizations and then fund the paying of these folks. And then they get a free bus ride because that's funded by the organization. Or they make a deal with Lyft, which has a habit now of giving anti-gunners free rides to and from the protest. They make it as easy as possible for anti-gun protesters to show up without it costing them a dime, and in fact, many times they make money doing it. Meanwhile, the pro-gun folks are working for a living. There are people like me, like you. We have jobs we have to go to. We have businesses we have to run. My wife and I own a business, but it's a mom and pop business. I can't walk away from it for a month and go around, or 2 or 3 months and go around and protest all over the place. One, I don't have the money to travel there to do it. And 2, I don't have the time because I got to work. If I don't work, I got a house payment I can't make. I got bills I can't pay. That's why I think in large part a lot of these things don't have quite they don't have quite as many people showing up on the pro-gun side as they do on the anti-gun side. Pro-gun people are working. Anti-gun people get paid to be there. That's kind of how it works. Now, is there also the aspect that pro-gun people, many gun owners tend to be uninformed or they're not involved. They're not you. You and I are involved. That's why you're here. I get it. You're watching this podcast. You're very involved, and I'm very grateful for you. But I think you're a minority in that regard. And so there are a lot of folks who aren't involved. They join an organization, and they pay their money, and they expect the organization to do everything. And so they don't. GOA sends out a notice, and they don't send anything to Congress. They don't follow up on the notice they got. NRA sends out a notice or has a call to action, and a certain minority of the members do something, and a lot of them don't. But I think a big part of it, too, is that the anti-gunners and the leftists are getting paid to be there, and they're paying for those people. So that makes a big difference. Somebody just did another super chat. Thank you very much. A couple people did. Holy moly. Well, thank you very much, Roman. Roman, I apologize. I'm not even going to try your last name because if I do it, I'm going to screw it up, and then you're going to be upset with me. I'm going to try it. Is it Zirin? Did I do it right? I hope so. Merry Christmas to you, sir. And also, thank you again to Mr. Twisted 72. I absolutely love that. That's hilarious. And then let me call out the other one here. I'm going to give you a shout out here. I hope you don't mind. Somebody else got me up here a minute ago, maybe. Oh, there it is. Mr. Twisted has gotten me twice. Holy smoke. I appreciate that. Well, thank you for the super chats. I don't expect people to do that, but I'm very grateful that you do. Thank you. Let's see. Why is it we need permission from the same people we need to protect ourselves from? Yeah, that is the profound question. That is true. Because they don't want you to be able to protect yourself. And that's why I said, if you're in a free state where you can make 80% lowers and put them aside, 80% firearms and put them aside, nobody knows you got them, do it and don't tell a soul. If you're in a restricted state, but you got a buddy or friend in the neighboring state, and the neighboring state is a free state, then go over there and make yourself 80% guns and leave them there. Don't bring them back into your own state because you're going to get yourself arrested. I can do that. I can go to a friend's house. I got friends in other states, and I can illegally in their state, I can make my own firearm. I just got to leave it there. I can't bring it here. Okay. I'll do that. Who knows? Maybe I have. I'm not going to say. Maybe I will tomorrow. Well, I won't be because I'm here. It was close enough. Thank you, Roman. I appreciate it. I hope I didn't booger it up too bad. And you're welcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Twisted. I appreciate that. Let's see. I think at this point, I'm going to probably wrap it up. If anybody got any last questions, go ahead and throw them in there real quick. What all states have ridiculous gun laws, do you think? Well, California, Washington, Oregon. This is off the top of my head now. Illinois, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, as far as I know. A lot of the Northeast states do. Basically, the right and left coast is pretty bad. Oregon and Washington used to be great, but since they've been populated by refugees from California and from the East Coast, they've gone down the tubes. If you're in what everybody calls flyover country, where honest, law-abiding, hardworking people live, a lot of them, then you're pretty safe where the Second Amendment is concerned at the moment. If you're in a state like California, if you're in San Diego County, you're better off, or in Orange County, you're better off in California than you are in other counties. But there are other counties that are pretty good too. If you're in LA County, if you're up there where San Francisco is, or any of these huge metropolitan areas, yeah, you're in trouble. So those are the states that are really, really bad, and some of them are worse than California. I would say New York and New Jersey are far worse than California, if you can actually believe that. And then, okay, so I got some last questions here. Let me go through them, and I'll see if I can get those answered. Let's see here. My apologies. I left my glasses in the other room, so I'm squinting a little bit. Do you think it's a smart choice to use my G17 mags for CCW? Yes, if they were purchased legally. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, if you check, I would see if you have a concealed carry permit in California, check with the county, because some county sheriffs will, by virtue of the fact that they can issue a permit, say that you can't do it. I just found that out. Apparently San Bernardino County is among them. So you'd want to check with your local sheriff's department and ask them. But if the magazine is legal, I don't think there's anything wrong with it unless it's forbidden by the issuing authority of the permit. I've killed deer with a 2506. Well, of course, 2506 is a great gun. There are a lot of others too. I mean, I just mentioned 30-06 because that's what I like. I'm not by any means an expert on ballistics. Regarding voting or protesting, people that hate something are more reactive than people who don't. That's true. Virginia, Florida, Maine, people are listing different things here. Next, I'm not sure what that means. It's awesome you were doing the live stream, Joel. Keep them coming. I'm going to do them once a month, but as I said, please let me know time of day, and then I'll schedule them ahead of time so you know I'm doing them. And I'll try to do them on a day that makes sense for everyone, as long as it's not a weekend, because I try not to work on the weekends or do anything on the weekends except spend time with family. Nevada is going south. That's true. Can I shout out a channel? Of course you can. I think it's on the, let's see, it's coming up in California. Armed Scholar. Okay. Yeah, sure. Armed Scholar. I haven't watched that one yet, but yeah, you can shout out a channel. Sure. Armed Scholar is a lawyer, I guess, in California, and has a great video on some of the complicated gun laws. He surpassed me, and I hope he grows. Okay, well, there you go. Well, tell him I gave him a shout out, if you don't mind. The guy at the gun store saw my featureless AR and said you have to take that out of my store. Well, the guy at the gun store is an idiot. He's an idiot. I would not go to that gun store anymore. That guy's an idiot. He said they are defined assault weapons in August. No, he's an idiot. That's not true. As far as I know, that's ridiculous. That's not true. My Fin Grip and Turner's was selling illegal AR because I don't know about that. Don't ever go to that gun store. Yeah, that's my opinion as well. The guy's an idiot. Stay out of the gun store. And you can tell him I said so if you want to. I don't care. Okay, folks, don't forget it. Hit the like button. Oh, yeah, thank you very much. Great chat. Evenings. Okay, that's kind of universal, so we'll do it in the evening, and I'll do them once a month, and I'll send out a notice and let you know ahead of time it's coming. I have not and will never register a firearm with the government. I give you my hearty applause. Well done. That's what's happening in New Zealand. They weren't registered. People have made them illegal, and people are saying, the heck with you. I'm not going to tell you I have it. And that's what we should be doing. Let's see. Next was the Texas gun. Well, Texas is having some troubles, too, in certain areas. I mean, a lot of these places are turning a little bit blue, which is unfortunate. 121 watching. Hit that like button. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Virginia will move. Yeah, that's true, too. Double thumbs up. What about the Supreme Court's upcoming decision? Okay, here's the deal, and then this will be the last one. I apologize because I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you don't mind. I may scan through them one more time. The Supreme Court thing, here's the deal with the Supreme Court thing. I was reading Chuck Michel's, fortune telling. I don't read minds. I can't tell fortunes, but I'm just going to give you his fortune telling. He's the CRPA president, California Rifle and Pistol Association president here in California, and he's also represents the NRA and a bunch of other things. He's a fantastic attorney, does a great job. His opinion is that Roberts will probably side with the libs to declare that case in New York moot. And the reason he gave for that is that Roberts would probably rather declare that one moot and then pick up another Second Amendment case to decide upon, because he doesn't want to appear to have kept the case in the Supreme Court for a political reason. Now, I think that's dumb, but I'm not a Supreme Court justice. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he does. Now, if that's what happens, so far, although I'm by no means a fan of Supreme Court Justice Roberts, I think he's a flake in many respects. But as far as I know, he's been 100% for the Second Amendment in the few cases that they've actually looked at. So it may be that they drop that case and go ahead and accept the fact that it's moot. Wouldn't surprise me, and then pick up one of these. There's like 2 or 3 other cases heading for the Supreme Court. They may listen to 2 or 3 of those and make those decisions there. So I wouldn't become apoplectic or depressed or discouraged if they declare that case moot. I think that's likely. If they don't, hallelujah. But if they do, I wouldn't get too discouraged by that, because there's a bunch of other cases heading that direction. And given Roberts' history with the Second Amendment, I think we have a very, very good chance of getting some great decisions out of the Supreme Court, which will profoundly affect the laws in my state of California and other restrictive states. Because if they actually declare some of these things unconstitutional, those are then lawsuits that I can tell you for a fact are already queued up and ready to go the minute that the Supreme Court makes any such decision. Those things are going to be dragged back into court state by state and hopefully thrown out. One of the many reasons we should be continuing to support Second Amendment organizations that file these lawsuits. For example, right now I do get phone calls all the time from NRA wanting money. With Wayne LaPierre and the spending thing, I'm uncomfortable giving them money, so I haven't. But I will not ditch my membership. I'm a life membership of NRA. I'm a life member of NRA, have been a member of NRA forever and a day. My wife is a life member. We're not going to ditch NRA. We're not leaving NRA. I'm not sending them money because I'm not comfortable with where the money goes. And I would like openness out of them. I'd like to see Wayne LaPierre retire. I don't know if he's going to or not. Doesn't look like it, but I would prefer that. But at least some openness would be great. In the meantime, I'll contribute money to California Rifle and Pistol Association because I know that money goes directly to them and they fight here in California. I'll contribute money to Gun Owners of California, Gun Owners of America, the Second Amendment Foundation, and so on. So the money's out there. I'm just picking who I send it to right now because I'm a little concerned about NRA's mess that they've got. But I don't want to abandon them, and I urge you not to do so either. Let's see. Don't ever go to the... Okay, last one here. Let's look and see. CRPA, California Rifle and Pistol Association. So register, do not register guns. Okay, yes, if you register, you can't put, okay, so that's confirming the magazine thing there about you can't put a magazine more than 10 rounds in a registered assault weapon. Let's see. Yeah, I'm hoping about Becerra as well. Taurus revolvers. By the way, just so that you know, and then I'm going to wrap up with it. Let me look through them real quick one more time here. Let's see. That's Virginia will be the worst. Well, Virginia's, they got a battle in their hands, but they're doing a good job of fighting it so far. Anything you buy at a gun store is registered. That is true. In California, that's true. That didn't used to be the case, but now it is. And that includes long guns. Are rifles and pistols registered? Yes. In California now, after 2014, I think, if you buy a long gun in California, it ends up on a list and the government knows you have it. What about the Supreme Court case? Okay, so I got all of those. All right. Yeah, I'm with you. Flesh the commode. Goodbye, Wayne. Yes, well said. I'm absolutely with you. All right, so last little thing, and that is, I had something in my head. That's what happens when you get to be an old guy. I was going to mention something to you, and it just completely left my mind, so I think I'm done. Scoped or iron sights for hunting under 150 yards. What are you hunting, would be my question. If it's something, and how old are you, and how good are your eyes? If you have good vision, iron sights, because you're going to be able to more quickly get on whatever you're shooting at with iron sights than you are with an optic. Everybody wants to go, the latest, greatest scope or whatever. Look, people have been hunting deer, for example, with iron-sighted lever-action 30-30s for 100 years or more, and very, very successfully. My dad did it for years and years and years, iron sights. But you get to the point where you're old enough where you need an optic, put an optic on it. Maybe a red dot. If it's under 150 yards and you have a flat shooting rifle, you don't need to have parallax, you got to turn and all this other stuff you got to do. That's 50 million things you got to do. Get the gun up to your face and press the trigger. You're going to go home with some meat to put in the pot. NRA is good for more than just safety training. NRA has a lot of power. I'm a big fan of Gun Owners of America, but I don't see Trump meeting with Gun Owners of America. I do see him meeting with NRA. So the truth is, like them or not, they have a lot of clout, and we need to make sure that they're strong so that they can help defend us. So there you are. Let's see. A lot of other comments here. They'll hold you call. Yeah, they got some good ones in here. All right. Anyway, okay. Thank you so very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan on doing a live stream once a month. I'll do it in the evenings during the week. I'll try to pick a weekday evening that makes sense, and it's a work in progress. So if we find that it doesn't work on a particular evening or whatever, then we'll move it to a different evening. I'm certainly open to that. The one day that probably won't work is Friday evenings, because we have our Bible group on Friday evenings. So any other evenings are probably good. I try to make the midweek service for church on Wednesday, so I'll probably do Monday or Tuesday or Thursday, just so that you know, and we'll do it in the evening in case you'd like to attend. Thank you very much for all the comments. I really appreciate it. I'm super grateful for the super chats as well. I wasn't expecting that. It's very nice of you. Have a wonderful week, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas, so I don't get a chance to tell you that between now and then. I hope you have a terrific Christmas and that you're spending time with friends and family whom you love and who love you. And I will get back and do this again in January, but in the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful New Year as well. Be safe.